The impossible vessel. The holographic display flickered as Commander Maya Chen rotated her ship design, revealing angles that defied conventional military architecture. The vessel resembled a twisted hourglass with asymmetrical protrusions and recessed panels that seemed randomly placed across its obsidian hull. The propulsion system was unlike anything ever seen. No visible thrusters, no conventional engine ports, just a scattered array of crystalline nodes that glowed with a soft blue luminescence. "This," she announced to the United Earth Defense Council, her voice steady despite the weight of 1,000 sleepless nights, "is the UES paradox." The chamber remained silent for precisely 3 seconds before Admiral Harrison barked out a laugh, quickly joined by several other council members. Only General Rivera and Dr. Nakamura maintained their composure, studying the projection with narrowed eyes. "Commander Chen," Admiral Harrison said, wiping away tears of mirth, "I appreciate your creativity, but this isn't an art installation. We're facing the extinction of humanity at the hands of the Vardari. Their fleet has obliterated 7 colonies in 6 months." Chen nodded curtly. "Precisely why conventional thinking will fail us, Admiral. The Vardari ships operate using quantum displacement. They exist partially out of phase with our reality. That's why our weapons pass through them. That's why our sensors can't track them accurately. And you expect us to believe your twisted sculpture can somehow match their technology?" Colonel Phillips scoffed. "A technology we barely understand, let alone replicate. I don't expect you to believe," Chen replied, her dark eyes reflecting the holographic glow. "I expect you to examine the mathematics." She transmitted a data packet to each council member's terminal. 5 years of research, 3 breakthroughs in quantum field theory, and a completely new approach to propulsion and weapon systems. Dr. Nakamura, the council's scientific advisor, was already scrolling through the equations, his expression shifting from skepticism to intrigue. "These calculations, they're unlike anything I've seen, but the theory is sound." Admiral Harrison slammed his palm on the table. "Theory. We need battleships, not theories. The Vardari will reach the Proxima Centauri colony in 2 months. How long would it take to build your paradox? With proper funding and priority access to the lunar shipyards, 6 months. Then it's useless to us," Harrison declared. "Request denied. This council will continue focusing on conventional fleet expansion and defensive measures." As the council members filed out, only Dr. Nakamura lingered. "Your work deserves more consideration, Commander." Chen's shoulders slumped slightly, the first crack in her professional facade. "They don't see what's coming. The Vardari aren't just another aggressive species. They're something entirely new. Our conventional weapons are useless against them." Nakamura glanced around to ensure they were alone. "My brother oversees the abandoned Phobos station. It's not much, but it has fabrication capabilities. I could arrange for some equipment to be overlooked during inventory." Chen's eyes widened. "That would be highly irregular, Doctor." "So is extinction," Nakamura replied with a grim smile. "Send me a list of what you need. And Commander, find people you trust. This won't be an official project." 18 months later, Maya Chen stood in the shadowed hangar of Phobos Station, gazing up at the gleaming black form of the UES paradox. What had begun as a desperate skunkworks project had evolved into something beautiful in its alien complexity. The ship wasn't just unusual, it was revolutionary, incorporating principles of physics that most scientists hadn't even theorized yet. "Final systems check complete, Commander," announced Lieutenant Raj Patel, her chief engineer and one of the 12 believers who had followed her into this quasi-legal venture. "She's as ready as she'll ever be." Chen nodded, unable to tear her eyes from her creation. The paradox was smaller than a standard destroyer, designed for a crew of 15, rather than the usual 100. Every cubic centimeter had been utilized with ruthless efficiency. What the Council had mocked as random protrusions were precisely calibrated quantum displacement nodes the key to matching the Vardari's phase-shifting capabilities. "And our crew?" she asked. "All aboard and strapped in," Raj replied. "Most of them are still confused about how this ship is supposed to work, but they trust you." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "They trusted me enough to risk court-martial. I won't let them down." Her comm unit chimed with an incoming transmission. Dr. Nakamura's face appeared, lined with exhaustion and something darker. "Fear. Maya, the Vardari fleet has appeared at Nova Centauri. They weren't due there for another 3 weeks. The colony's defenses are already failing." Chen's blood ran cold. Nova Centauri housed over 30,000 colonists. How long until the defense fleet arrives? 26 hours, minimum. By then, he didn't need to finish the sentence. By then, Nova Centauri would be a graveyard. "We can be there in 10 hours, Chen said, already calculating the jump sequences in her head. Nakamura's eyes widened. "The paradox hasn't been tested for combat. Every simulation says she'll perform. We have no choice, Doctor. I'm taking her out." After a moment, Nakamura nodded. "I'll do what I can to provide cover with the Council. Maya, be careful. If you're right about the paradox, you may be humanity's only real hope against the Vardari." As the communication ended, Chen turned to Raj. "Prepare for immediate departure. We're heading to Nova Centauri." The paradox sliced through subspace like a phantom, achieving velocities that conventional physics claimed were impossible. In the ship's command center, a spherical chamber unlike the traditional bridge layout of Earth vessels, Commander Chen briefed her nervous crew. "What I'm about to tell you goes beyond your security clearance," she began, activating the main display to show a simulation of the paradox alongside the distinctive wedge-shaped silhouette of a Vardari ship. "For months, we've been fighting an enemy that seems to defy the laws of physics. Their ships appear and disappear at will. Our weapons pass through them, as if they're not fully present in our reality." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. This was venturing beyond military doctrine into theoretical physics. "The Vardari use quantum displacement," Chen continued. "They exist simultaneously in multiple phase states, allowing them to shift partially out of our dimension when attacked, then solidify to launch their own assaults." Lieutenant Commander Jessica Webb, the weapons officer, frowned. "If we understand this technology, why haven't we deployed countermeasures?" "Because most of the military establishment doesn't believe it's possible," Chen answered honestly. "They think it's theoretical, science fiction. That's why they laughed at the paradox's design." She looked around at each face. "I'm not asking you to take this on faith. In 3 hours, I'll activate the paradox's quantum displacement system. You'll see for yourselves what this ship can do." As the briefing concluded, Raj approached Chen privately. "They're skeptical," he noted. "So were you once." She reminded him with a small smile. "Until I saw the math," he acknowledged. "But it's a lot to accept, especially for military personnel trained in conventional tactics." Chen checked the navigation display. "They'll understand soon enough." "How are the displacement nodes holding up?" "Operating within parameters," Raj replied. "But I'm concerned about the power draw during active phase shifting. We've never tested the system at full capacity." "We're about to," Chen said grimly. "Prepare the crew for quantum displacement protocol. And Raj, if this works, make sure you record everything. Whether we survive or not, the Council needs to see what the paradox can do." 2 hours later, the paradox dropped out of subspace at the edge of the Nova Centauri system. The main display immediately filled with chaos. 3 Vardari destroyers methodically bombarding the colony's defensive platforms, while a larger command vessel hung back, coordinating the assault. Conventional sensors detect 4 Vardari vessels. Lieutenant Sarah Okafor reported from the tactical station. Colony defenses at 17% and failing. Estimated survivors on the surface. Her voice faltered. Unknown. Communication has been severed. Chen took a deep breath. Activate quantum displacement. Raj initiated the sequence from his engineering station. The lighting throughout the ship dimmed momentarily as power diverted to the displacement nodes. A strange sensation swept through the command center. A subtle vibration that seemed to pass through the crew's bodies rather than around them. "Quantum displacement active," Raj announced, his voice tight with tension. "We are operating at phase variance of 0.37. What does that mean in practical terms?" Lieutenant Webb asked. Chen allowed herself a small, fierce smile. "It means we're now partially existing in the same phase state as the Vardari. We can see them as they truly are. And more importantly, we can hit them." On the main display, the Vardari ships seemed to shimmer, revealing their true form. Not the solid wedges they appeared to be in normal space, but ghost-like structures surrounded by a complex web of energy fields. The sight sent a ripple of murmurs through the command center. "Target the nearest destroyer," Chen ordered. "Fire when ready." Lieutenant Webb hesitated only a moment before activating the Paradox's main weapon system. Not conventional railguns or energy beams, but focused quantum torpedoes designed to strike targets across phase states. "Torpedo away," she announced. The projectile streaked across space, a brilliant blue against the black void. The Vardari ship made no attempt to evade. They hadn't detected the paradox, their sensors likely unable to perceive a vessel operating in their own phase state. The torpedo struck with devastating precision. Instead of passing harmlessly through the Vardari ship as conventional weapons had done in prior encounters, it detonated directly within the vessel's quantum field. The destroyer didn't simply explode, it seemed to collapse in on itself, energy and matter imploding in a spectacular burst of light. Stunned silence filled the command center, broken only by Raj's whispered, "It worked. It actually worked. They've detected us now," Okafor warned as the remaining Vardari ships broke off their attack on the colony and turned toward the paradox. Chen's fingers danced across her command interface. "Adjust phase variance to 0.42. Target the second destroyer." As the Vardari opened fire, their energy weapons sliced through the space where the paradox had been a fraction of a second earlier. The human vessel shifted slightly out of phase, causing the attacks to pass through harmlessly. "Return fire," Chen ordered, her voice steady despite the adrenaline surging through her veins. The second quantum torpedo found its mark, and another Vardari destroyer vanished in a cascade of imploding energy. The remaining destroyer and command vessel began to retreat, their movements frantic. "They're running," Webb said in disbelief. "They're actually running from us." "Not for long," Chen replied. "Target the command vessel. Let's show the Vardari that humanity isn't as defenseless as they thought." As the paradox pursued the fleeing Vardari ships, the impossible vessel, the ship they had laughed at, was about to change the course of the war forever. Vengeance of the underestimated. The Vardari command vessel shimmered in and out of normal space, desperately trying to evade the paradox's pursuit. Its escort destroyer had already been reduced to quantum particles, and panic was evident in the erratic maneuvering of the alien flagship. "They're attempting to reach jump coordinates," Lieutenant Okafor reported from Tactical. "Estimated time to jump, 40 seconds. Commander Chen's eyes narrowed. "We can't let that ship escape. If it reports our capabilities back to the Vardari fleet, we lose our advantage of surprise." "Commander," Raj warned from engineering, "the displacement nodes are running hot. We've never sustained this level of phase variance for so long." Chen nodded. "Understood. Lieutenant Webb, prepare a full spread of quantum torpedoes. Target their drive systems." Webb's fingers flew across her console. Torpedoes locked on target. Fire. 3 brilliant blue streaks shot from the paradox, cutting through the quantum distortion surrounding the Vardari vessel. The first torpedo struck a glancing blow, destabilizing the alien ship's phase field. The second and third hit with devastating precision, tearing through the now vulnerable drive section. The Vardari command vessel didn't explode. It collapsed, folding in on itself like a piece of paper crumpled by an invisible hand. A flash of blinding light, and then nothing but scattered debris floating in the void. Silence filled the command center, broken only by the steady hum of the ship's systems. Then, as the reality of what they'd accomplished sank in, the crew erupted in cheers. Chen allowed herself a moment to share in their triumph before raising her hand for quiet. "Our mission isn't over," she reminded them. "Lieutenant Okafor, what's the status of the Nova Centauri colony?" Okafor's expression sobered as she checked her readings. "Life signs detected on the surface, but communications are down. The colony's main defensive platform is heavily damaged but still operational. Raj, can we safely deactivate the quantum displacement system?" The engineer checked his instruments. "Recommended, Commander. The nodes need time to cool. Deactivate displacement and hail the colony. Let them know the threat has been neutralized." Chen turned to her communications officer. "And send a tight beam transmission to Earth. Dr. Nakamura's eyes only. Tell him the paradox works." 3 days later, the paradox docked at Earth's orbital military platform. Commander Chen had expected a quiet reception, perhaps even a rest for her unauthorized mission. Instead, she found the docking bay filled with high-ranking officers, scientists, and several members of the Defense Council, including Admiral Harrison. "Commander Chen." The Admiral greeted her, his expression unreadable. "Your actions at Nova Centauri were highly irregular." Chen stood at attention. "I accept full responsibility, sir." "As well you should," Harrison continued, "for saving over 28,000 colonists and destroying 4 Vardari vessels without a single human casualty." Chen blinked in surprise. Dr. Nakamura stepped forward, unable to contain a smile. "The data you transmitted has been verified by 3 independent teams. The paradox's performance exceeded even your projections, which leaves this council," Admiral Harrison said stiffly, "in the uncomfortable position of admitting we were wrong." General Rivera approached, examining the unusual contours of the paradox through the docking bay viewport. "It's still the ugliest ship I've ever seen," she commented before turning to Chen. "But effectiveness trumps aesthetics in warfare. The Council has unanimously approved immediate production of 5 additional Paradox-class vessels." Chen felt a wave of vindication, quickly tempered by practical concerns. "With respect, General, construction of the Paradox took 18 months with a dedicated team. Mass production will be challenging." "You'll have whatever resources you need," Harrison assured her. "The lunar shipyards have been cleared of all other projects. Your engineering team will supervise construction. In the meantime," Rivera added, "the Paradox will remain our first line of defense. Intelligence suggests the Vardari are regrouping for a major assault on the Sol system. They've never encountered resistance like what you demonstrated at Nova Centauri. We believe they'll respond with overwhelming force." Chen nodded gravely. "The element of surprise is gone. Next time, they'll be prepared for our quantum displacement technology." "Then we'd better be prepared for theirs," Harrison said. "Commander Chen, you are hereby promoted to captain. The Paradox is officially commissioned into the United Earth Fleet, with you as her commanding officer." As the briefing concluded, Dr. Nakamura drew Chen aside. "You were right all along, Maya. About everything." "Not everything," she replied quietly. "I underestimated how quickly the Vardari would adapt. Their technology is still years beyond ours. The Paradox gave us an advantage, but they'll be working to counter it even now." Nakamura studied her expression. "You have another idea, don't you?" Chen's lips curved into a slight smile. "The quantum displacement system is just the beginning. I've been working on something else, a way to not just match their phase-shifting capabilities, but to exceed them." "The Council might be more receptive to your ideas now," Nakamura pointed out. "Let's hope so," Chen replied, "because what's coming next will make Nova Centauri look like a skirmish." 6 months passed in a blur of frantic activity. The lunar shipyards operated at maximum capacity, constructing 5 new Paradox-class vessels while incorporating refinements based on combat data from the original ship. Captain Chen divided her time between supervising the construction effort and leading the Paradox on patrol missions along the outer colonies. The Vardari attacks had ceased following the Nova Centauri incident, a concerning development that military intelligence interpreted as preparation for a larger offensive. Probes sent to previously attacked colonies returned disturbing footage of massive construction projects. The Vardari were building something near each conquered world. On a rare return to Earth, Chen found herself once again before the Defense Council, this time presenting footage captured by a stealth probe. This structure, she explained, indicating a massive ring-shaped object in orbit around the ruins of Epsilon Colony, appears to be a quantum amplifier. Based on our analysis, the Vardari are constructing similar devices at 7 different locations. To what end? Admiral Harrison asked, the antagonism that had once colored his interactions with Chen now replaced by grudging respect. We believe they're creating a network, a way to project their phase-shifting capabilities across multiple star systems simultaneously. Chen's expression was grim. If they succeed, they could render our entire defense grid useless, including the Paradox-class vessels. The implications hung heavy in the council chamber. How long do we have? General Rivera asked. 2 weeks, maybe less. Chen activated another holographic display, showing schematics for a modified version of the Paradox's quantum displacement system. But we've developed a countermeasure, a quantum resonance cascade. Dr. Nakamura leaned forward, examining the equations scrolling alongside the schematics. You're proposing to use their own network against them. Chen nodded. The amplifiers they're building create a quantum entanglement field. If we can access that field and introduce a controlled cascade failure, it would ripple through their entire network, destroying all their amplifiers at once, Harrison concluded. Elegant. If it works, what's the delivery method? A direct strike on their primary amplifier at Epsilon. The Paradox can get close enough by matching their phase variance exactly, but once we initiate the cascade, we'll have minutes at most to clear the blast radius. Rivera's expression was solemn, a high-risk operation. With the highest possible stakes, Chen replied. Intelligence believes the Vardari are bringing their mothership to Epsilon to oversee the network activation. We may never get another opportunity to strike at their command structure. After hours of debate, the Council approved the mission. 3 days later, the Paradox and her 5 sister ships, Enigma, Conundrum, Riddle, Mystery, and Puzzle, assembled at the edge of the Sol system for final preparations. Captain Chen addressed the combined crews from the Paradox's command center, her image transmitted to each vessel. What we attempt today will determine the future of humanity, she began. The Vardari believed us to be primitive, our technology insufficient to counter their quantum abilities. At Nova Centauri, we proved them wrong. Today, we will show them the danger of underestimating human ingenuity. The small fleet jumped to Epsilon Colony in perfect formation, emerging from subspace at the outer edge of the system. The massive quantum amplifier dominated the view screen, a ring nearly 20 kilometers in diameter, pulsing with energy that distorted the space around it. Nearby, the Vardari mothership hovered like a predatory insect, surrounded by a dozen destroyer-class vessels. They haven't detected us yet, Okafor reported from Tactical. Our phase variance is matching their field perfectly. Chen nodded. Begin approach. Enigma and Conundrum. Take up flanking positions and prepare to engage the destroyer screen. Riddle, Mystery, and Puzzle. Focus fire on the mothership's primary weapon arrays. The Paradox will deliver the cascade device to the amplifier. As the human ships crept closer, a sudden alert flashed on Raj's console. Captain, the Vardari are activating the amplifier. Energy readings are spiking. They're ahead of schedule, Chen realized. All ships, abandon stealth approach. Execute attack pattern Delta immediately. The 6 human vessels shimmered into visibility as they adjusted their phase variance and accelerated toward their targets. The Vardari response was immediate, destroyers breaking formation to intercept, the mothership's massive weapon systems powering up. Space lit up with energy discharges as the battle was joined. Enigma and Conundrum tore through the destroyer screen, their quantum torpedoes finding targets with devastating precision. The three other Paradox-class ships concentrated fire on the mothership, disrupting its energy grid before it could bring its main weapons to bear. The Paradox wove through the chaos, accelerating toward the amplifier ring. Incoming fire. Okafor warned as three Vardari destroyers broke off to intercept them. Evasive pattern Sigma, Chen ordered. Lieutenant Webb, target their propulsion systems. The Paradox rolled and pitched, quantum torpedoes launching in rapid succession. Two Vardari ships exploded, while the third veered off, trailing debris and energy discharges. "We're within range of the amplifier," Raj announced, preparing to launch the Cascade device. Chen watched the tactical display, where the battle raged across the Epsilon system. Two human ships were damaged. Puzzle reporting severe hull breaches, Mystery with power fluctuations, but they continued fighting, keeping the Vardari mothership occupied. Device away, Webb reported as the Paradox launched its payload. A specially modified quantum torpedo designed to interface with the amplifier's energy field. "All ships, prepare for immediate withdrawal," Chen ordered. "Time to Cascade initiation. 70 seconds. The torpedoes struck the amplifier ring, penetrating its outer shell rather than detonating. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then a visible pulse ran through the structure, its energy field fluctuating wildly. "The cascade has begun," Raj confirmed. "Quantum field destabilizing. All ships, jump now," Chen commanded. 5 quantum flashes marked the departure of the other vessels. The Paradox turned to follow, but a sudden impact rocked the ship as a desperate Vardari destroyer rammed them, damaging their drive section. "Jump drive offline," Raj reported, his voice tight with tension. Attempting emergency restart. Chen checked the countdown. 45 seconds to full cascade. Divert all power to the drives. The amplifier ring was now visibly distorting, sections of it phasing in and out of normal space as the cascade spread through its structure. Energy arcs lashed out randomly, one striking the Vardari mothership and tearing through its command section. "Drive restart failed," Raj announced grimly. "We don't have enough power." Chen made an instant decision. "Redirect power from the displacement nodes. Drop us fully into normal space. Captain, without phase protection. We need that power for the drives. Do it now." As the Paradox shifted fully into normal space, it became vulnerable to conventional attack, but also freed up the massive power reserves required for quantum displacement. The energy flowed into the damaged drive systems, coaxing them back to life. "Drive online," Raj shouted. "Jump capability at minimum threshold. All hands, brace for emergency jump," Chen ordered as the amplifier's destabilization reached critical levels. The Vardari mothership, recognizing the imminent danger, was attempting to flee, but energy tendrils from the collapsing amplifier had entangled its hull. With seconds remaining, the Paradox tore open a subspace window and lurched through, the damaged drive struggling to maintain coherence. Behind them, the amplifier reached cascade failure. The resulting quantum implosion consumed the ring, the mothership, and every Vardari vessel within the Epsilon system. More importantly, through the entanglement network, the cascade rippled outward, destroying all 7 amplifiers simultaneously, and with them, the heart of the Vardari war machine. 2 weeks later, a battered but intact Paradox limped back to Earth orbit. The ship's emergency jump had sent it far off course, and the damaged drive had required painstaking repairs before they could return home. In their absence, long-range sensors had confirmed the destruction of the entire Vardari amplifier network, and subsequent probes reported the alien fleet in disarray, withdrawing from human space. As Captain Chen guided her ship into dock, the communication system crackled with an incoming transmission from Admiral Harrison. "Captain, on behalf of Earth and all her colonies, welcome home. The Paradox has once again accomplished the impossible." Chen smiled tiredly. We had some help, Admiral. How are the other ships? All returned safely, though Puzzle will need extensive repairs. But that's not why I'm calling. Harrison's expression turned solemn. The Defense Council has reviewed Dr. Nakamura's analysis of the Vardari technology, the quantum amplifiers they were building. They weren't just weapons. They were terraforming devices. Chen frowned. Terraforming. Why would they need to terraform human worlds? Not for them. The amplifiers would have rendered our planets uninhabitable for humans, but perfect for Vardari physiology. This wasn't just a war of conquest. It was full xenoforming. They meant to replace us entirely. The implication settled heavily on Chen's shoulders. Then we stopped more than an invasion. You saved our species, Captain. Harrison paused. The Council has unanimously approved your proposal for a dedicated quantum physics division within the fleet. You'll have whatever resources you need to continue your work. As the communication ended, Chen gazed out at Earth, shining blue and green below them. The same world that had mocked her, dismissed her theories, and nearly court-martialed her now owed its continued existence to the ship they had laughed at. Lieutenant Webb approached, standing beside her at the viewport. Orders, Captain. Chen smiled. First, repairs. Then we get back to work. She turned to face her crew, the people who had believed in her vision when no one else would. The Vardari won't be the last threat we face. But next time, humanity won't be caught unprepared. As the paradox settled into its birth, its unusual silhouette no longer drew mockery but admiration, a testament to human ingenuity, to the power of perseverance in the face of ridicule, and to the danger of underestimating those you dismiss. The impossible ship had not only proven possible, it had become legend.